Y'all get ready?
Yes, you get ready.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
So now let's also talk about the cuts. Now, the last video that I did, and thank you guys so much. I did not expect it to get that many views. I was shocked because, you know, a lot of times real topics don't get as much views. But like I said, I've been noticing a lot of my more real world topics have been getting a lot of views. So the last video I did was about people losing their job in the federal sector. And I also showed a lot of the MAGA supporters, you know, just trolling and making fun of people losing their jobs. And again, I don't care if you work in the public sector or the private sector. You know, losing your job is traumatic. You know, I have been laid off before. I know how that is. And at least back when I was laid off, they were giving out severance packages. A lot of these folks are not even getting that. They're just being told, hey, I don't know what you do. It's waste. You're out of here. And people were celebrating it and, you know, laughing and saying, yeah, we don't need any park rangers. We don't need people working in the national forest. And then over the weekend, I had watched the Gabby Petito movie. Well, yeah, they did like a documentary for her on Netflix. It was a really good documentary. And what was very interesting is the only reason why Gabby Petito was able to be found was because of the park rangers, was because of those federal workers who know the national parks like the back of their hand, okay? And so people are saying that, oh, you know, it's a waste, it's just fat. But a lot of white people like to go to these parks. A lot of y'all like to go hunting and camping. I would suggest to most people to not do that because right now, a lot of those people, those park rangers have been fired. So if you make the wrong turn, if you get hurt, there's nobody coming to rescue you. There's nobody who knows these national parks like the back of their hands because y'all done fired them because y'all swear up and down that they're just government waste. You know, they're wasteful people. They shouldn't be there. You know, they shouldn't be making X amount of dollars. But every time somebody goes missing in these national parks, those are the folks that you run to. So a lot of folks have lost their jobs. A lot of people, again, who voted for him were upset because they lost their jobs. Because, see, it was cool when it was people doing work that they didn't see as a big deal, you know, fruit pickers, people who, you know, the immigrants who were picking fruit, the farmers, you know, they didn't care. But once it affected them, then it was like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that I too was DEI. I'm a disabled vet. Yeah, you're DEI. You got that because of your disability. DEI covers disability. And I don't know why people were like, there were comments of people getting mad and saying, don't you include disabled vets in your DEI speech? That is literally the definition of DEI. It covers disabilities. If you are a disabled vet, you got that job based on DEI. I don't know why that's wrong to say. But y'all have no problem saying that a black person, simply because of their color of their skin, they got that job on DEI. So it's just been a lot. It's been just very interesting to watch the back and forth and people being upset. So now I had said that in the video that, you know, don't laugh too hard because maybe this doesn't affect you because you don't work in the public sector. You're not a Fed worker. But there are things that are going to affect both public and private sector. And that is the food stamps being cut and Medicare and Medicaid being cut. And a lot of people tend to assume that people who are on Medicare, Medicaid are just, you know, lazy, don't want to work, when a lot of times some jobs don't offer insurance. Like if you work in the service industry, for instance, let's say like you cut hair, you're a barber, you do nails. A lot of time those type of businesses, they don't offer any type of health insurance. So a lot of people in those services need some type of health insurance, and that's why Medicaid, Medicare is there. And you still pay in. It's not like you're just getting this free health insurance. You're still paying for it. It's just at a sliding scale. So what's very interesting is that those cuts have been made, and they're affecting a lot of people. So a lot of those folks who were laughing about, the Fed workers losing their jobs, a lot of them are now upset because their food stamps are being cut and their Medicaid are being cut. And also understand that Medicaid also helps the elderly, the folks that people stick in these nursing homes, they're being covered because of Medicaid. Also, people who are disabled, people who got kids who are autistic or nonverbal, who have issues and stuff like that. A lot of those people, their children are on Medicaid because their services are very, very expensive. And so now, because a lot of those cuts are being made, who's going to take care of those kids? Who's going to teach them speech therapy? Teach them how to walk and take care of themselves. And if they can become more functioning, teenagers and adults, those programs are going to be cut because those people are not going to be able to be paid. So again, the trickle-down effect, it's very serious. So let's go ahead and watch this video here. Okay. So some of the Fed workers who were fired are now having to apply for welfare. They're having to apply for food stamps. Y'all said they were so rich, these people were saying were making $100,000 a year just to push paperwork. They don't do anything. They just make all this money. Well, you wouldn't qualify for food stamps that fast if you're making all that money. So proof that these Fed workers are not making all that money that people were accusing them of making. So let's go ahead and watch this video here.
A fired CDC worker says she's now applied for food stamps and public assistance to make ends meet. She lost her job as the Trump administration tries to shrink the size of the federal workforce across the country.
She worked for the federal government almost 10 years before she was let go this month as President Trump and Elon Musk work to shrink the size of government. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor joins us from downtown Atlanta to share her story. Angelique?
Yeah, good afternoon to you both. This single mother tells me that she has worked hard all of her life. She says she was just 66 days away from completing that probationary 2-year period when she received her pink slip.
It had said that it was due to poor performance, but I've never had poor performance. I've never had a poor performance appraisal. I've worked for the government for almost 10 years.
Carolyn Corrigan says her termination from the CDC was a slap in the face. The single mother of 2 college daughters says she worked her...
No shade, but you notice Carolyn is white. Her babies are mixed, but she's a white woman. But y'all love to act like it's only black people on food stamps and government assistance.
Way up from a janitor position to an education technician, making $67,000 a year. But February 15th, it all came crashing down when the CDC informed her she was fired.
I earned every promotion with dedication and hard work, and now it's devastating. I don't want to cry.
The 41-year-old says she wants Elon Musk to know she is not just a number, but a human being who now has to turn to public assistance to live.
I did apply for food stamps, back to Medicaid, and I also, for the first time in my life, applied for temporary assistance so that I'm able to pay my rent.
Carolyn says she is looking into joining a class action lawsuit and has appealed her firing with the Office of Special Counsel.
So my question is this, right? So this woman who's worked her way up, you know what I'm saying, she hasn't really been on any type of assistance before this, making good money. Wouldn't we rather have her working and paying into, taxes and, all that stuff than just firing her and having her now having to resort to government handouts? Like, this thinking is so backwards. So we're going to fire all these people, and then what? They turn around and get on the same assistance that you're clowning people for getting when she had a good job and she was doing good at her job? and she has two children. Looks like one of them is in college. You know, this is just sad.
First time in my life I was this close to like being able to buy a home for me and my children. Sorry. I was able this close to being able to make a livable wage for me and my daughter. And in 1 second, I'm so sorry. In 1 second, that was all taken.
Republican strategist Brian Robinson says voters put a president in place who would shrink government.
For conservatives in this country, we believe that the government does have to be smaller, that there will be some pain involved. And the president and Elon Musk said that there will be some pain in this transition.
Now, Carolyn says that Office of Special Counsel has been really helpful in navigating her through this very difficult time. Live and down.
Okay. So now, hold on, come back on here. Okay, so that's just one story of one of the, federal workers now having to, going from 60-something thousand a year to food stamps, through no fault of her own. So we're going to watch some of this because on top of, she's getting food stamps, but food stamps are also being cut. And so the GOP is saying that people need to stop eating Cheetos and get off the couch. And I think people are so out of touch that they're not understanding. Yes, you do have some bum ass people who just sit on welfare and, brag on TikTok like, oh, I get all this free food and me and my kids just eat junk food all day. Yes, I've seen those TikTok videos. But the majority of the people who do get food stamps, you have to work. You have to be in school. You're just not allowed to just sit around and just lounge on food stamps. But for some reason, they still think this. So we're going to go ahead and watch the second video here.
Slashing $1 trillion in spending, Republicans are moving full steam ahead with gutting Medicaid and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, to pay for Trump's tax, border, and energy agenda. In support of that budget, Republicans have introduced a bill that would toughen work requirements for people who use SNAP by stripping exemptions for veterans and young adults who recently aged out of foster care. Republican Congressman Pat Fallon of Texas had this warning for Americans who might need those food stamps.
We have a message for those kind of folks. If you're able-bodied and you want to, milk the taxpayer, those days are over. Get off the couch, stop eating the Cheetos, stop buying the medical marijuana and watching television. You're going to actually contribute now.
Joining me now is former Republican Congressman from Pennsylvania, Charlie Dent. Charlie, I don't know who he's talking about, the sort of blanket, sort of sweeping condemnation of individuals.
So again, it just goes to show you that, like I always say, it's not about necessarily black and white. It's rich and poor. Just listen how he's saying, get off the couch, stop smoking medical marijuana and eating Cheetos. That's insane.
What's striking to me is, and stunning, A, to hear a member of Congress say something like that, but then B, knowing that many of the MAGA supporters in Texas and Alabama and elsewhere around the country also utilize that kind of assistance. So I don't understand what he's saying. Is that what he's saying about his constituents? How do you as a member, when you hear another member say something like that, respond or react?
All right, let me come back here. So you guys heard that. So they're basically shitting on their own base. Most of the people, most of the MAGA folks, they're not billionaires. They're not millionaires. A lot of the people who are sitting here going so hard, a lot of them are getting some type of assistance, be it medical or food stamps, cash assistance. So it just goes to show you how a lot of them really look at poor and underprivileged people. And I think the craziest thing about all of this, just me on the outside looking in, watching all this craziness ensue over the past, 3 weeks, this whole month, is that they have made it where you have poor people and middle class people fighting, you know what I'm saying, to basically be seen. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're fighting so hard for these billionaires who are not anywhere in their class. Like, that's the part I don't understand when I see people on TikTok going so hard. And it's like, you are going so hard, but you're acting like these moves are going to benefit you. These tax breaks and all the stuff that they're doing, they're not going to benefit the middle class. Definitely not going to benefit the poor. All of these government services that are being slashed is going to be affecting a majority of his base. That is exactly what this man was saying in this MSNBC news clip. So to just see this like constantly going on and for people to be defending this, to me is just, it's insane. It's just crazy. It's like you're sitting here laughing about, you know, Fed workers getting fired, but then when it comes to their door, now it's an issue. So we are living in some interesting times.
You want the latest news in the streets? Join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.